The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake. When, where, and why did it happen? The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake is also known as the Sumatra-Andaman earthquake. It occurred around 7:58 p.m. and it occurred specifically on December 26th of that year. There was an undersea earthquake which had a magnitude of 9.1, and it occurred on the coast of the Indonesian island of Sumatra. It created a series of ocean waves that reached across the Indian Ocean, and it resulted in a tsunami, which lasted 7 hours. Coastal areas, even far as East Africa, were affected. The earthquake occurred along a tectonic subduction zone, where the India Plate, an oceanic plate, was subducted beneath the Burma microplate, which is a part of the larger Sunda Plate. It's said that due to a slip on the interplate thrust fault, a vertical displacement of the seafloor had occurred. This is generally what people assume is the cause of the earthquake, which eventually resulted into a tsunami. This event caused a great tragedy. It was said that roughly 225,000 people across many countries, including places such as Indonesia, the Maldives, and Thailand, died. After the earthquake and the tsunami happened, many relief workers were dispatched, and they tried their best to help the people who were in the midst of the damage. However, they faced a lot of struggles. Getting supplies into remote areas, providing shelter, water, and food due to there being a lack of clean water and food, as well as villages, tourist resorts, farmland, and fishing grounds were destroyed and overrun by debris, salt water, and bodies. What about the human and environmental impact the earthquake had?
Landscape and climate. With the initial focus of the international relief and recovery efforts being on humanitarian aspects of the disasters, attention slowly shifted to longer term rehabilitation and reconstruction, where environmental issues came to the fore. Recovery of the environmental assets such as water, land, forests, and agriculture and fisheries areas, and the ecosystems such as mangroves and coral reefs required a concerted and integrated approach that not only improved these assets but also made them better prepared for future disasters. Solid waste and disaster debris remain the most critical environmental problems faced by the countries. The sheer magnitude of the disaster meant that the volume and nature of the disaster debris was far beyond the coping capacities of the cities and towns that were affected. Disposing these wastes in an environmentally appropriate manner and recycling the waste where possible, for example, crushing of concrete and bricks to produce aggregate for road and building construction, were identified as critical priorities. Contamination of soil and water was the second key environmental impact of the tsunami. Salination of water bodies such as rivers, wells, inland lakes, and groundwater aquifers has occurred in many of these affected countries. This also affected the soil fertility of agricultural lands due to the salination and debris contamination, which affected yields in the medium and long term. Some water bodies were contaminated by damaged or destroyed septic tanks and toilets with sewage infiltration the water supply system. Most of the damage was to the coral infrastructure, including harbors, destruction of coastal vegetation, and extensive sand erosion. Seawater intrusion into inland areas also affected soil fertility, causing many island top soil to be washed away and increase the salinity of the soil. Effects on wildlife. The Wildlife Trust of India, along with the International Fund of Animal Welfare, initiated several investigations following the earthquake and tsunami to assess their impact on wildlife. Overall, they found that damage to wildlife population was generally limited on the mainland and slightly worse on the islands. Particularly hard hit were, however, the coral reef systems. Several beaches were washed away, and freshwater habitats were inundated with salt water. While most of these ecosystems were eventually able to rebound, problems did not occur. For example, one mainland wildlife sanctuary became flooded with salt water and covered with sand, making it impossible for the various plant-eating um, ungulates to graze. Even worse, with seawater comes toxic pollution. In other areas, rather than covering plants with salt water, the tsunami simply all the plant washed away all the plants, making it possible for invasive species to quite literally take root. The change in plant life wasn't problematic for some species, such as fan-throated lizards, which were able to survive in the new ecosystem. Other species who were specialized for the native habitats were surely less lucky, but hard data is scant. Were the effects local, regional, or global? The affected regional countries include Indonesia, India, Malaysia, Maldives, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Seychelles, Thailand, and Somalia. Some fun facts about the tsunami, the 2004 earthquake, was that the Sumatra Andaman earthquake, which caused the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, is estimated to have released energy equivalent to 23,000 Hiroshima type atomic bombs. The tsunami's waves traveled across the Indian Ocean at 500 miles per hour, the speed of a jet plane. The 2004 Indonesia earthquake caused a shift in the Earth's mass that changed the planet's rotation. The total material loss from the tsunami were estimated at $10 million.
Here are the sources for all of the information used, including the photos.